ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं च शनीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यं ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि चक्षुराततम् ॐ श्लीं ह्लीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। ॐ हरे रामकृष्ण हरे रामकृष्ण हरे रामकृष्ण। एक्सक्यूज मी, హలో చెప్పు. వచ్చారా అన్న? ఇంటికి వచ్చారా? ఓకే. అయ్యో క్లాస్ ముందు క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్ చేశాను. ఓకే, మంచిగా అయితే. ఓకే, దట్స్ ఓకే. నమస్కారం అన్న, వెల్కమ్ టు బోస్టన్ అన్న. నమస్కారం అండి, నమస్కారం. ఐ సీ యూ మెయిల్స్. ఓకే అండి, I will see you sometime later, either tonight or tomorrow morning. I will see you. ఓకే అండి, నమస్కారం అండ్ వెల్కమ్ టు బోస్టన్. హలో. ఓకే అన్న, ఐ విల్ కంటిన్యూ మై క్లాస్. ఓకే అన్న, నమస్కారం. సారీ అబౌట్ దట్. ఓకే, సో వేర్ ఆర్ వి? We should start or okay. We finished. Okay. षष्ठे से लग्नगे जातो रोगवान कीर्ति संयुतः आत्मशत्रुर्धनीमानी साहसी गुणवान नरः. षष्ठे से लग्नगे जातो. If the sixth lord is in lagna, a person born like that, rogavan kirti samyutah. Rogavan means he has a disease. Kirti samyutah. Kirti means fame. Samyutah means one who has. So very famous person. He is diseased and also he has disease and also he is famous. Atmasatruhu. Atmasatruhu means? Yeah, Atma means literally self, but here Atmasatruhu is used in the context of own people, basically enemy of the own. So very people who are very close to him, who are like his own people, he is inimical to them. Dhani means one who has lot of dhana, lot of wealth. Mani means honorable. Sahasi, adventurous. Gunavan means one who has good qualities. Naraha, person. Such person, these are the qualities. Okay, let us see. If the sixth lord is in lagna, why does he have disease? Why does he have disease? Yeah, sixth is Dusthana. Sixth lord's job is to give obstacles to the person, disease, etc. And he is in lagna. So the health is not really that good. Kirti samyutah, but he is famous. Why is he famous? What kind of fame are we talking about here? Well, if you take the 5th house as Lagna, this is, I mean, we are talking about a Dusthana Lord from Lagna. Dusthana Lord in Lagna, affecting Lagna from Lagna. But from the 5th house, how easy? Second Lord in the 9th house. If the second Lord is in the 9th house, is it a good combination or bad combination? It is an excellent combination. Second is the house of feeding. Second is the house that, house of resources, right? It is a house that feeds. And if the second Lord is in the 9th house is the house of fasting. The person will be very rich. I mean, from Lagna. From Lagna, if the second Lord is in 9th house, he will be very rich. Right? Now, from 5th house of fame, the second Lord is in the 9th house. Again, as far as the fame, the aspect of fame is concerned, he is very rich, he is highly endowed. So, the fame of the person derives from abundant resources. So, the person is famous on various counts. Okay? Yes?
Can be considered as the mark of
Yes, it can be considered as marka also. Yeah.
something which is inhibiting his abilities.
Yeah.
He is in the 9th house.
Yeah.
So, with respect.
So there can be a bad combination also. So his abilities can be hampered a little bit by that planet. Yes, that is also a possibility.
Depends on the malefic.
Depends on the other factors. But here Parashara is giving one variation, which is basically he is considering the second Lord in the 9th house to be a good combination. He is considering the thing is, the house of food, it sustains you, but when it is weak, when its Lord decides to deprive you of food, you basically die. You don't have food. Second house is the house, a Marakasthana, as well as the house that nourishes you, that nurtures you, that gives you food and makes you grow. So both are shown by the same house. So you have to see based on the strengths, the context, how well is he in the 9th house, and what is the relationship with the 5th Lord, etc. You have to look at various factors. But what you thought is also absolutely right. That is, he is a Maraka as well. But here he is being considered as a good planet. So he is famous. Ki samjuta hai. He has different kinds of fame. Atmasatruhu means he is an enemy of his own. Why? And it can also be interpreted as Atma means self. So instead of saying it as people who are close to self or one's own people, you can say oneself. So he is an enemy of himself. That means he engages in actions which basically hurt him. He hurts himself. He engages in actions which end up causing problem to him. He doesn't realize it. He does things with lot of fire and energy, but he ends up hurting himself. So that is also a possibility. That is another interpretation of Atmasatru. So now, why is he an Atmasatru? Why does he hurt himself and people who are close to him? As far as hurting himself is concerned, well, 6th Lord, the Dusthana Lord, the Lord of obstacles, his job is to give obstacles. He is in Lagna, the basic self of the person. So he can actually create obstacles to himself. Now, can Atmasatru be interpreted as one who is inimical to his own people? If so, what is the logic? Why is he inimical to his own people? How do you see his own people?
7th house.
7th house is all people, not just his own people. His family, his close kins, close people. Yes, second house. Second house is the house of family and people who are very close to you. Yes, it's the 5th Lord in the 12th house. What does 5th Lord show? Emotions, the emotional stability, the overall state of mind of the family, of the close, of the people who are close to him, his own people. And the planet is in the 12th house of life. So that means this planet can give results which are making his family lose some peace or lose some, they don't feel happy basically. 5th house shows overall emotional stability and overall feeling of good. And that is being lost, that is being deprived. So, it's not so much that he fights with his family or something, but he creates situations where his family is at a loss. His family is not really very happy, not very comfortable. He is actually robbing the emotional happiness, emotional stability of his own family. Mani, honorable. Why is he honorable? Why is he honorable? Yeah, he has Argala on the 10th house. Okay, so?
It should be related to 5th house, right?
Well, respect and honor is from the 10th house. 5th house is following, people following you. 5th house is the following, and whereas the 10th house is the honor that you have in the society based on your actions.
But yeah, that's account to karma.
Right. Whereas 5th house, people are attached to you for whatever reason. 5th house is the house of attachment. People are attached to you and they follow you. And 10th house is 10th house is the work that you are doing. On account of it, there is some status that you have, based on it, there is some respect that you get on account of your work. People may or may not like it, but liking is seen from the 5th house. People liking you and following you is from the 5th house. So anyway, here 10th house has an Argala, but why 6th lord? 6th is Dusthana. If the Dusthana lord has Argala on a house, why does it help that house? Well, again, just like we did for the 5th house, take the 10th house as Lagna. He is a Dusthana lord from Lagna. For his body, for his physical self, he is a bad planet. But for career, is he a bad planet? From the 10th house is the 9th lord of fortune, Bhagya. So he is in a quadrant. A trine lord, that is the most powerful trine lord, the 9th lord, is in 4th house quadrant, having Argala on the 10th house. So is it good for 10th house? Yeah, it is absolutely good. So that means he is somebody who does lot of work, lot of good work, and has a good status in the society as a result of the work that he does. Okay? Sahasi, he is brave. Why is he brave? How do you see bravery? 3rd house. From the 3rd house, what is going on? The 4th lord is in the 11th house. Basically, he is in the 11th house from 3rd house. He has Argala on the 3rd house. He has Argala on the Sahasa of the person. And he is the 6th lord. 6th is the house of fighting, overcoming the obstacles, etc. So one Upachaya lord is having Argala on another Upachaya. So 2 Upachayas are coming together. The 6th and 3rd indications are being merged by this planet. The 6th lord is bringing the energy of the 6th house, which is fighting obstacles, to 3rd house. He has an influence on the 3rd house, which is initiative. So it is almost like somebody who has the wherewithal to fight for you, giving you encouragement to say, come on, do it. So it is basically like that. So he is basically brave. This is not just foolish bravery, but bravery accompanied by actually ability to follow up. Sahasi Gunavan Naraha. Gunavan. He is a virtuous person. He has good qualities. He is righteous. He is pure basically. There is some level of purity to the person's attitude. Why? How do you see that? The virtue of the person from? 9th house of Dharma. 10th lord in the 5th house. Again a quadrant lord going into a trine. Right? 5th house. And he has an Argala on the 9th house from the 5th house. So again, just like the 10th house, this planet is making the 9th house also prosper. So he is dharmic, he engages in good karma, he is brave. Only problem is, see, all the results are actually good. People will think normally, Dusthana Lord in Lagna bad. But see, all the results are good. Parashara gave so many good results here. The only bad result he gave us, only 2 bad results he gave us, Atma Satru and Rogi, a sick person. So the thing is, what is good for 10th house need not be good for Lagna. What is good for 9th house need not be good for Lagna. What is bad for Lagna need not be bad for 5th house or 9th house. So you have to look with respect to various houses to see how a planet is for that house. Just because he is a bad planet for Lagna doesn't mean he gives all bad results. People normally jump to conclusions. They say, oh, 8th lord, he is bad for you. Well, he is some other lord for some other house. For the 10th house he is 11th lord. Depends on where he is. So he may be good. So like that basically you have to see with respect to each house, you have to see the position to see the impact of a planet on a house. Don't just go by the Lagna. Lagna is a standard difference because it shows the body. But you are interested in other things also, not just body. and physical comfort. The next verse. Shashthe se dhana bhavasthe sahasi kula vishrutah paradeshi sukhi vakta swakarma niratah sada. Shashthe se dhana bhavasthe. If the sixth lord is in the second house, sahasi kula vishrutah. Sahasi, actually let me, I read the whole thing once, right? I did, okay. So I'll give the meaning. If the sixth lord is in the second house, sahasi. Sahasi means he is brave. Kula vishrutah. He is, shruta literally means heard. Vishruta means well heard. Basically famous. Vishruta literally means well heard, but it means somebody whose name is heard by everybody. So he is famous. Kula means lineage or family or caste. It has various meanings, but let us say just let's interpret Kula as his lineage, his family, extended family. So he is famous in his circles, or we can just say in his circles. He is famous in his circles. He is brave and he is famous in his circles. Paradeshi means one who lives abroad. Sukhi means one who is happy, peaceful, comfortable. Vakta means speaker. Swakarma niratah sada. Swakarma niratah. He is interested in his own work. He doesn't mess with other people and he does a good job with his work. He is interested in his work, does a good job with the work. Okay, why? Let us now.
How does Lagna then is in the fourth?
Pardon me?
Oh, okay.
Oh, you are explaining the last one. Okay. I'll ask you when I come to the last one, I'll give you a chance. Okay. If the sixth lord is in the second house, Sahasi, why is he brave? This is a weird one. Why? Second house is the house of 12th from third house. Why is he brave? What kind of bravery is it? Does it make sense that he has a lot of initiative? He is in the house of loss from the initiative, house of giving up initiative. So why does he say this? If the fourth lord is in the 12th house, is it a good combination or a bad combination? If the fourth lord is in the 12th house. See, if you take the third house, this is basically fourth lord in the 12th house, right? Is it a good combination or bad combination? For me? Okay. Why? Yeah.
He has to give
Right.
up.
Right. So it is not really a great combination. So even though he said Sahasi, do you expect this person to have a lot of initiative and drive? Not really. The planet is not conducive to a lot of initiative and drive. But if he actually jumps into something, irrespective of the weak initiative, suppose he jumps into something, will he fight to the finish? Will he be a fighter? How do you see that fighting spirit from? Sixth house, right? Sixth house is the house of overcoming the obstacles, overcoming the enemies and killing the enemies, destroying the enemies. So from the sixth house as Lagna, this is Lagna Lord in ninth house. Is it good or bad? Terrific. Right? Lagna Lord in ninth house is always terrific. From that Lagna, the Lord is in the best possible train. So he is protecting that very much. So the sixth house of fighting obstacles and overcoming enemies is very strong. So here, even though the word used is Sahasi, my interpretation is this is not somebody who has a lot of drive and who wants to do a lot of things, but this is somebody who, when he jumps into something, he can, once he basically takes up an assignment, no matter what the obstacles are, no matter what the problems are, he will boldly fight all those obstacles and he will destroy all his enemies. So it's basically an adventure of that kind, basically executive adventure, executive basically. In the matter of executing the initiative, he is very strong, not just in having the initiative. Kulavishrukaha, he is famous in the family. Why is he famous in the family? Why is he famous in the family? Yes, from the second house of family, this is the fifth lord of fame in Lagna. Fifth lord in Lagna basically makes one famous. But because this is from the second house as reference, this may be relating to family. So he may be famous in his family. All his uncles, aunts, everybody thinks, oh, he's great. Maybe the rest of the world doesn't think so, but at least his family, for his family, he is a famous person. Also, could it be possible that he is famous for his wealth? From the second house, the fifth lord is in the second house. So it is also possible that he is famous for his wealth. So there are various other possibilities, but this is what Parasara gave. Paradeshi, pardon me?
For speech also.
Yeah, absolutely. He may be famous for his speech, on account of his speech. He may be a gifted speaker. Now, Paradeshi, he lives abroad. Why does he live abroad? What makes him live abroad? Sixth lord in the second house. What makes him live abroad? Ninth and 12th are the houses, right? 9th and 12th are the houses. So why? Why does he say this? For the 6th lord in the second house. 6th lord is? No, 6th lord is not aspecting. 6th lord owns a house where planet will aspect 12th house. He is not there. He is in the second house. So he doesn't aspect 12th house. Second house is simply in the third house from 12th house. Does it make any sense? Only thing I can think of is the 12th house is the house of living abroad. Basically being displaced from your motherland and being in a faraway place. And taking the 12th house of residence abroad as Lagna, from that house, this planet is in the third, he is the 7th lord in the third house. 7th and 3rd are basically both Kamatrikonas. So the Kamatrikona is basically connected. 7th and 3rd house are connected. The 7th house of desire and the 3rd house of initiative. So the person may, this planet if it is strong, the person may have a strong desire of living abroad, and he may show initiative basically to go abroad, right? If from any house, the lord of the 7th house is in 3rd house, or 7th lord in 11th house, or 11th lord in 3rd house, any Kamatrikonas are connected. Kamatrikonas are the root of desire basically, they are the trines of desire. So there is a strong desire relating to that particular matter, the matter shown by that house. So the person has a strong desire to live abroad. Whether he actually lives abroad or not depends on where Rahu is, where 9th lord is, where 12th lord is, what is the relationship with 12th lord. But all I can say is somebody who is interested in not living where he is but living in a faraway country. That is what I can see astrologically, and I suggest that by Paradeshi, Parasara doesn't necessarily mean somebody who is definitely living abroad, but somebody who is interested in leaving his motherland, interested in going abroad. So it's basically that shade of the meaning that he is suggesting here. Sukhi, happy. Is he happy really? What kind of happiness? Parasara may use the word happy in various contexts, and it may be a particular shade here. What shade would be appropriate here? How can the 6th lord in the 2nd house give happiness? 4th house of happiness, 4th lord of happiness is? Sorry. From 4th house, 3rd lord is in the 11th house, right? So, yeah, the 3rd lord basically of initiative, and he is in the 11th house of fulfillment. So the thing is, he is interested in pursuing happiness. He is interested in, he has a strong initiative with respect to fourth house matters, accumulating a good car, accumulating a good fridge, good TV, accumulating good comforts and deriving happiness from them. He has a strong initiative, and also the planet is in the house of gains, house of fulfillment of desire. So he basically has a strong urge to do things and he gets things done. So that is, and of course being in the 11th house, he also has Argala on the 4th house of Sukha. So he accumulates all these articles of comfort and he is happy, he is comfortable. So here, more than happy, Sukhi, more than happy, it could be translated as somebody who accumulates, who basically gains lot of comforts. More than he is happy, we can say somebody who gains lot of comforts, lot of luxuries, lot of things basically, objects of comfort. Vakta. Why is he a Vakta means good orator. Why is he a good orator? Why is he a good orator? Why is he a good orator? Yeah, from the second house of speech, a trine lord is in the house. That is excellent. So he is skilled in, he has skills of speech. Fifth house is the house of ability. Sixth house is the house of ability in speech. Swakarma nirata sada. He is interested in his own work. He is interested in his own work. He doesn't interfere in other people's works, and whatever his work is, he does sincerely. Now work, how do you see it from? 10th house. And from the 10th house, this is the 9th lord in the, this is the 9th lord in the, no, 5th house. 9th lord in the 5th house, a trine lord in another trine. So he is quite well placed. And from the 10th house, because he is the 9th lord of dharma, right? Dharma in the work, in another trine. He is in the dharma trikonas basically. He is not in the, earlier he was in the 4th house, but here he is in dharma trikona. So one dharma trikona lord in another dharma trikona. So there is a sense of dharma in the 10th house, in the work he does, right? And of course he has an Argala. He has an Argala, just like in the case of Lagna. When the planet was in the Lagna, 6th lord in Lagna, he had Argala on the 10th house. Here also he has an Argala on the 10th house. Right? So here also you can say he has honor, respect, etc. on account of the work he does. In addition, what you can say here is, because he is a dharma trikona lord in a dharma trikona from 10th house, there is a sense of dharma, sense of proportion, sense of right, correct and wrong in what he does. That is why he is not somebody who messes around with other people's work. He focuses on his work. He does it correctly. So he is very righteous in his work. He is good work ethics basically. You can say, you can put it as somebody with good work ethics. The next verse, Shashthe se sahajah jatah. Shashthe se, if the 6th lord, sahajah means in the 3rd house, jatah, born, krodhi vikramavajjitah. Shashthe se sahajah jatah, krodhi vikramavajjitah, bhrata chatra samastasya, bhucchaschottaradayakah. Okay. Shashthe se sahajah jatah, krodhi, he is angry. He is short-tempered, ill-tempered, angry. Vikramavajjitaha. He has no courage. The planet is in the 3rd house, but he is saying he has no courage. So we will come to that. Bhrata satrusamaha means?
The brother who is equivalent to an enemy?
Yeah, brother is basically an enemy. He has enmity to his brother. Bhucchaschottaradayakaha. Bhucchaha means? Servant. Uttaradayakaha means he starts replying, giving answers to him. In other words, he basically starts talking back. You say, hey, it should not be here, put it there. No, this is the right place, I'll leave it there. Like that basically he will be. So he has a disobedient servant. Okay. Now if the 6th lord is in the 3rd house, why is he angry? Why is he krodhi? Why anger? Well, 6th house is the house of fighting and overcoming obstacles, and 3rd house is the house of initiative. So one Dusthana Lord is in another Dusthana, so there is a, just like we keep saying Dharmatrikonas are connected, Kamatrikonas are connected, here Dusthanas are connected, and both actually are very fiery Dusthanas. One fighting initiative is a very fiery thing, as well as fighting and overcoming obstacles is a fiery thing, though there is a connection between the two. So he's somebody who's a go-getter, who can achieve things, who can fight, and the same planet is also giving boldness. So this is not Krodhi in the sense of the regular anger, but this is somebody who has a lot of fire within. So when the fire is not contained, he can basically, it can come out as short temper. But basically somebody with a lot of fire within. Fire in the belly basically. I will translate this Krodhi as not just as angry, but somebody with a fire in the belly. And of course those people, when the fire is not contained, sometimes they can basically act in a very short tempered way. So that is the kind of anger that he is talking about here. Vikramavarjitaha, this is the paradoxical result. He has no bravery. Why? Why is that the case? So this is an example of, always we do Bhavat Bhavam. We say, if we want to see how the Sahasa is, take the third house as Lagna. See which planet is, which house is owned from the third house, which house is occupied by the planet, etc. But it is also possible to just say, any house basically where 6th Lord or 8th Lord is placed is destroyed. Because from the Lagna's perspective, 6th house is the house of enemy. 6th house is the house of, 6th Lord can give an enemy or can give some obstacles. And he can give with respect to the house he is placed in. If he is placed in the third house, he can give obstacles relating to the third house. There can be problems relating to the years of the person. There can be problems relating to the communication skills. There can be problems relating to brother. There can be problems relating to determination, etc. So that is also a plausible way to interpret, right? Apart from taking the third house. Of course, you can take the third house as Lagna and say 4th Lord is in Lagna. So that also you can do. But the thing is, I'll come to that a little later. But you can also do this analysis. So that way, the house, Lord of the house of obstacles being in the third house, he can actually give some problems, obstacles in motivating himself, finding determination. And secondly, taking the 4th Lord in Lagna. Normally, 4th Lord in Lagna is a good thing. Normally. It is basically Sukhasthana Lord in Lagna. So you are happy, you are contented. But the thing is, third house is a different house. Third house is the house of fire, initiative, drive. It's not the house of contentment. So if the Lord of the house of contentment is in that house, is it actually conducive to being more determined? He's giving a comfort, he is giving a contentment. Third house is the house of peace and contentment. So that Lord of that house being in the third house, from the third house is 4th Lord, right? That's why I'm saying. So that Lord being in the third house is actually not conducive to that fire in the third house. He is actually putting water in the third house. 4th house is kind of like water. So it's basically like you are pouring some water in the house of fire. So the fire is basically extinguished. So from that point of view also, even from Bhavat Bhavam point of view also, this is basically not showing somebody who is very who's a great fighter and has a lot of initiative, but somebody who's actually fighting that sense of contentment, that tendency to be contented, so that he can fight. Sa Vikrama Vajyataha Bhrata. Bhrata means brother, Shatru Samaha. Brother is like an enemy. Why? Like I said earlier, third house. Now we are not talking about brother's result, we are talking about the person's result. He has an enmity to his brother. We are not saying his brother is successful or his brother is dharmic, his brother is adharmic, his brother is a fighter. We are not saying anything about the brother. We are saying this native has an enmity to the brother. So still Lagna is a reference. So taking Lagna as reference, the 6th Lord is afflicting the third house. So there may be 6th Lord, his agenda is to give enmity, and third house is brothers, relation with brothers, etc. So 6th Lord being in the third, he can have some enmity with the brothers. Bhrutyas Chottaradaayakaha. Bhrutyah, Vrichyastottradayakah. Servant is giving some trouble. Why is servant giving some trouble? How do you see servants from? 6th house. So 6th lord is in 3rd house. What is problem with it? What is wrong with it? His sthana lord is in Dusthana, Viprita Rajayoga. What is wrong with it? Why is he having problem with disobedient servants? From? Okay, so he gives some loss of comfort, loss of peace, okay. So 6th lord basically being in the 12th from 4th can give some lack of peace on account of servants. One valid logic. There is anything else? Good, very good, excellent. Yeah, D6C, excellent. Is it actually falling in the 12th house? Is it?
What is the combination?
Please analyze. 6th lord in the 3rd house.
6th lord in 3rd house.
Yeah, we explained all the results. The one left is, it's not 12th house, right? See, you guys always forget the exception. 9th house. So it's not, that's not the logic. Yeah. So what is going on? Well, on account of the 6th lord, the person has to show a lot of initiative. 3rd house is the house of initiative and drive. And he has to show a lot of initiative and drive and bravery in dealing with servants. I mean, dealing with servants, you are not supposed to, it's supposed to be a cakewalk. It's not like you are dealing with your boss or your subordinates. Dealing with servants is basically servant, you tell him, you command, do this, he's supposed to just do this. And if you are having to show a lot of initiative and a lot of 3rd house, lot of fire in dealing with the servant, he is basically giving you trouble. He is asking, no, should I really do like that? I think it will be a better idea if you do like this basically. So he is having his own mind, and then you are having problems. So that is a possibility. And like you said, he is not well placed from the 4th house. So that means he doesn't have a good peace of mind on account of his servants. So there may be some problems with the servants. Is there anything else? Taking the 6th house itself as Lagna to see what kind of servant he has. Lagna lord is in 10th house. Lagna lord shows the intelligence of the person, and 10th house shows the work accomplished by the person. So Lagna lord in the 10th house, such a person will use his intelligence, apply his intelligence to his work. So his servants are actually applying their intelligence to the work. Servant is supposed to just take the command. You just say shoot, he is supposed to just shoot. You just say remove it, he is supposed to remove it. But if he says why remove it, why shoot, then there is a problem. And the thing is, the Lagna lord in the 10th house, the person is unlikely to, is not conducive to taking commands. Yeah, house of respect, house of honor. Bottom line is, it's the house of work. And if the Lagna lord is in any house, you will use your intelligence actively relating to that work. What should be my karma? What should I do? You will analyze and you will be logical. Unfortunately, if that is happening from Lagna, it would have been good. It's happening from the 6th house. So this combination, this result applies to the servants. The servants are actually thinking logically before they do things. But you don't want them to think. That is why there is a problem. So Uttaradayakaha, Vrichya Uttaradayakaha. So servant is giving answers. He is basically talking back to you. He is analyzing things and talking back to you. So you are getting in trouble. Okay? Next verse. Swasthe se sukha bhavasthe matu sukha vivajyatah manasvi pishuna dveshi chalachittoti vittavan. Okay. Swasthe se sukha bhavasthe. Swasthe se sukha bhavasthe means if the 6th lord is in the 4th house, matu sukha vivajyatah, he has no happiness from mother. Manasvi pishuna dveshi. Manasvi means literally it means mindful. Literally it means mindful, but you usually use it to indicate somebody who is reasonably logical, has a good mind basically, who is alert mind, somebody with an alert mind. And it's sometimes also used in the context of compassionate, because different qualities of mind are compassion, thinking ability, all these are things of the mind. So mindful, one who is full of mind can mean somebody who is compassionate, somebody who is logical, somebody who is alert. So those are the results. Pishuna, oh by the way, I did not follow up on this. We encountered this word Pishuna, I think 2 weeks back, 2 classes back or 3 classes back, somewhere it came. I think, yeah, if the 5th lord is in the 3rd house, then there was a Pishunascha, and I wasn't sure exactly what it meant, so I wanted to check with the dictionary. This guy translated as tail bearer, but I wasn't really sure if that is a good translation. Basically, Pishuna is somebody who's telling stories from here in that place, stories from there in this place. So he is somebody who will come to me and say, you know, Seshu, he looks like a nice guy, but he's very manipulative. He's doing a lot of things behind the screen. You don't know what he's doing. Like that, he will tell me some stories, and he'll go to Seshu and say, this Narasimha, he talks so nicely to you, but he's saying bad things about you to everybody. Like that, basically. This is all made up. This is just disclaimer. This is just fiction. There is no element of truth in it. Anyway, so if somebody who is basically either real or imagined stories, he is basically saying the stories, negative stories in different places about different people and spreading rumors. Actually, you can say rumor monger. That would be a good translation instead of tale bearer. Somebody who is rumor monger. Okay. And then Dveshi. Dveshi means who hates other people or who is jealous of other people. Chalachittaha means fickle-minded. Basically, Chalachittaha is actually a very awkward phrase. It's not typically used. It basically also means Chapalachitta. Chala means moving. Chitta means consciousness, mind. So moving mind, basically fickle-minded. Fickle-minded. Pardon me? Restless mind, yeah. Rather fickle-minded. This is a good translation. What Santanam gave. Chapalachitta Ativittavan. Very rich. Ati means very. Ati Vittavan. Hyper rich. I mean, that's a bad, I made up a bad word, but basically very rich. But Ati literally means hyper. Yeah, super rich. Rather than hyper rich, let's say super rich. Okay. 6th lord in the 4th house. Why does he have no happiness from mother? Why is he devoid of happiness from mother? Why is he unhappy with mother? Why is he unhappy with mother? Well, like we said earlier,
Same thing related to the brother.
yeah, just like the brother. 6th lord of enmity is in the 4th house. So either he is deprived of mother's happiness, or there is no mother, or he is an enemy. Mother is an enemy, or something like that. Okay. Then Manasvi. Why is he intelligent? Or why is he alert? Which one should it be? What exactly should Manasvi mean here? What shade of the meaning should be applicable here, and why? Okay. Why is he shrewd?
Because it is from 6th house to the 11th. He's in 11th.
Okay.
So
Very good. Excellent. You are on a roll.
house goes for what? Enemy and
Overcoming the obstacles.
overcoming obstacles. And
So the lord of any house being in the 11th house of fulfillment, that house is made. Whatever that house stands for is basically fulfilled. So 6th house is the house of overcoming the problems, solving the problems. So basically he is a problem solver. He is very shrewd. He knows how to solve the problems. So here Manasvi is not compassionate, or it's not somebody who is intelligent, but it means somebody who is shrewd and who can fix his problems very easily. Problem solver. So Manasvi here means problem solver, a shrewd person. Excellent. Very good. You are on a roll now. Let's see where else you will roll now. You started the roll. Pishunaha. Why is he Pishunaha? Why is he a rumor monger? Why is he Basically, there is some adharma in his character. That's the bottom line. Why is there some adharma? How do you see the dharma of the person? The straightforwardness. Dharma is 9th house. So, from the 9th house, how is the planet? He is the 10th lord. 10th is the house of karma, right? From the 9th house as lagna, 9th house of dharma as lagna, the 10th lord of karma is in the 8th house, right? 10th house is the actions that are done relating to dharma, right? The actions that are done. 8th house is fall. So, he engages in some actions which are causing his dharma to fall. So, he engages in some adharmic work. So, that is one thing, right? So, that can explain somebody who is not very straightforward and dharmic in his dealings. Dveshi, why is he jealous of people?
Yeah, but you can explain why he is adharmic in his action, but
Right.
what does it relate to Vishnu kind of thing?
What does, okay, good. So, why does it have to interactions with people? Right? That is your,
7th house must have come in picture.
for me?
So there must have been 7th house interaction.
Right. Right. See, basically the 10th lord from the 9th house is in the 10th house from the 7th house. The planet is in the 10th house from the 7th house.
So is it because the A6 then will fall in 2nd house of speech?
Excellent. That is a good point. Yes. The A6 is the Arudha of this house is falling in the 2nd house of speech. So basically, speech may be an enemy of the person. Like, for me?
Corrupted.
Yes, that is a possibility. Now, why is he actually going around and talking to people? Why is he saying a lot of things to people? Why is he sharing a lot of things to people? From the 7th house of interaction, this planet is in the 10th house. 10th house of karma. So the thing is, 7th house, what is 7th house? It is relationship with other people. And 10th house is the karma. So basically, as far as the relationships are concerned, he is very active in the relationship. 10th house is the house of being active. So he is very active in talking to people. He is basically, forget Krishna. In general, this person he pursues his relationships actively. So he is actually going around and having some interaction with the other people.
He is the 12th lord in them.
For me?
He is the 12th lord.
Right. Right. So,
How would that say how would
what does 12th house show? So from the 7th house of relationships, he is the 12th lord. What does 12th house show?
Giving up,
giving up of
Yeah.
fighting, giving up relationship.
Yeah. It can basically mean undermining somebody, undermining a relationship. Right? The 12th house is the house of basically causing a loss. So he can actually, and that planet is in the 10th house of karma from the 7th house. So he can actually engage in actions relating to his relationships which cause some compromise to some relations, some people. So he may actually, as a part of his relationship with some people, he may be creating a loss to some other relations. So basically he is creating problems to his relations. And why is he dveshi? Why is he jealous of other people? Why does he hate people?
Jealousy is also from 6th house.
Is it okay? Is it jealousy? Is it from the 6th house? Well, 6th house in general shows weaknesses. 6th house is in general enemies and weaknesses. So from the 6th house, the Lord is in the 11th house. So he has a lot of enmities, a lot of weaknesses, that you can say. But specifically, which house do you see jealousy from? 12th house. 12th is the house of humility. And when you don't have humility, you are jealous of somebody else. If you are humble, you accept everybody's good qualities. You don't basically think, I should also have it. You are humble, you don't need to have it. But if you are not humble, you say, that guy has it. why don't I have it? I should also have it. And then you start hating that person. So all these emotions are basically rooted in the 12th house. Now, with respect to 12th house, how is this planet? 7th Lord in the 5th house, yeah? Right. He has Argala on the 12th house. First of all, he has Argala on the 12th house. Right? He has Argala on the 12th house. So he has an impact on the person's humility or lack of it, and jealousy or lack of it. He has an influence on it. He can cause it. Now why is he saying he is jealous? Why doesn't he say he is humble? Because the planet is 6th Lord. The planet itself from Lagna, taking Lagna, because when you are talking about humility, jealousy, etc., these are Lagna is also an important difference, not just the relevant house of the relevant weakness. Basically, that if he is jealous or humble or angry or short-tempered, this is a quality of the person's self. So don't ignore self when you are talking about qualities of the person. Do not ignore self as a reference. So taking Lagna as reference, this is 6th Lord of weaknesses. The planet is causing weaknesses in the person. 6th house is the root of all the weaknesses. I told you earlier, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, etc. So Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsaryas. But all of them, all the ripus are rooted in the 6th house. And then each house basically is like a different branch. 6th house is the root of the tree, and 7th, 8th up to 12th house are the branches. One branch shows Kama, another branch shows Krodha, and so on. So this planet is the 6th Lord showing weaknesses, and he has Argala on 12th house of jealousy or humility. So the person is likely to have some jealousy. There is a problem of jealousy, right? Now the next one, Chapalachattaha. He is fickle-minded. Why is he fickle-minded? Why is he fickle-minded? Why is he fickle-minded? Yeah. 4th house is the basic, yeah. 4th house. How do you see general stability, emotional stability? 5th house. 4th house is the house of Sukha, house of comfort. So 6th Lord being in the 4th house, he is not comfortable. He is restless. So you can say restlessness. 6th Lord in the 4th house, there is no peace. Somebody who lacks peace, somebody who is restless, there is no peace of mind. That you can say. Now if you want to talk about fickle-minded, somebody who has no emotional stability is from the 5th house. Of course from the 5th house as reference also, this planet is in the 12th house of loss. So there is no emotional stability. And the peace is also compromised. So he is very restless and fickle-minded soul. Ativittavan, however he says he is extremely rich. Why is he filthy rich? Why is he very rich? What is the 2nd house connection here? Huh? 5th Lord in 3rd house, okay. So 5th Lord shows abilities of the person relating to accumulating wealth, right? And he is in the 3rd house of initiative. So he basically puts his abilities to use in the determination. So any planet in the 3rd house, he gives determination, lot of initiative relating to that house. So planet in the 4th house gives initiative relating to wealth. But just by, if somebody wants to do something, it doesn't happen. He also need to have the skill to do it. If somebody has the skill to do it and also wants to do it, it will happen. So from the 2nd house, this planet represents the skill to accumulate wealth, and he also has, he is placed in charge of determination to get wealth. So the person has skill and he puts it, he has the initiative also, he puts it to use. So the person is likely to be rich. So the thing is, when he says Ativittavan, it's not necessarily somebody who has lot of wealth, but it only means somebody who has, he is capable of making wealth and also who has the drive to make wealth. That is the bottom line. That is what we can say. The last one. Shashthe se ripu bhavasthe vairam svagnati mandalat anyai sah bhaven maitri sukham majham dhanadijam. Sixth lord in fifth I skipped. Okay, sorry. Shashthe se sutago yasya chalam tasya dhanadikam Shatruta putra mitraischa sukhi swarthi dayanvitah. Shashtesha sutago yasya. If the sixth lord is in the fifth house, for who? For such a person, chalam tasya dhanadikam. What does it mean? Dhanadikam means wealth, etc. Chalam means moving. He has moving wealth. That means fluctuating wealth. Sometimes he is rich, sometimes he is poor. So there is a lot of change. Shatruta putra mitraischa. Shatruta means enmity. Putra mitraischa means putra, children, and mitra, friends. So he has enmity with friends. Enmity with children and friends. Enmity with children is logical, but enmity with friends, I mean, the definition of friend is somebody who is not an enemy. What it means is, friends become enemies, enemies become friends. So his relationship with people keeps changing. For a while they are friends, for a while they are enemies. So he can fight with his enemies, basically. He can fall out with his enemies. Sukhi swarthi dayanvitaha. Sukhi swarthi dayanvitaha. Sukhi, he is happy, comfortable. Swarthi, he has wealth earned by himself, own wealth, own made wealth. Dayanvitaha, he is kind. So he is a very mixed person, a person of mixed bag. Now let's parse each of them. Chalam dasya dhanadikam, his wealth keeps fluctuating. Why? Okay, but why are you looking at sixth house? We are talking about wealth. Wealth is from the second house. So in the second house is the fifth lord in fourth house. Is it good or bad? It's good. Trine lord in a quadrant, so fifth house, second house is strong. But why is there fluctuation? Why is there a fluctuation?
Because he is the sixth lord.
In general, because he is the sixth lord. He is the sixth lord having Agla on the second house. So sixth house shows obstacles. So the person, the self, the obstacles faced by the self. So such a person is having Agla on the second house. So the wealth, on account of the wealth of the person, this person may have some obstacles to overcome. So there may be some litigations, problems, etc. So that is the meaning. But in general, even though he says there is fluctuating finances, in general will the finances be okay or not? There may be some problems he faces in keeping the finances. But in general, finances should be okay. So this is not somebody who fluctuates between being a pauper and being a rich man. He is basically a rich man, but he has to fight for his keeping his riches. Shatruta putra mitrayescha. Now as far as children are concerned, the sixth lord is in the fifth house. Just like sixth lord in third, we said enmity with brothers, siblings. Sixth lord in fourth, we said enmity with mother. Now sixth lord in fifth, children. So enmity with children makes perfect sense. Now why enmity with friends also? Why enmity with friends?
Is the eighth house with respect, eighth house lord with respect to 11, 7,
Eighth house lord?
respect to 11.
Yeah, very good. So from the 11th house, which is basically the emotional stability of the friends, the emotional feeling good of the friends, of the relations, and also friends. 11th house is friends, 7th is other relations, 11th is friends. So if you take the 11th house of friends as Lagna, 8th lord is in the 7th house. What does it mean? It is basically, he is a Maraka. So he shows basically the friendship basically can be lost, can be gone. He can kill the friendships. He can also kill friends, of course. This planet can also give loss of friends. Somebody may die in an accident or something like that. So he is showing some problems with respect to 11th house. But even though he is the 8th lord, he is in 7th house from 11th house. So he can also give relations with the friends. He can give good relations with the friends also. So there can be ups and downs. But bottom line is, he can you have to be watchful. Your friendships can abruptly end because he is a Maraka. When his Dasha or Antardasha runs, friendships can end simply. He can cut off with his friends. Sukhi, why is he happy? Why is he comfortable? Why is he happy? Well, he has Argala on the Lagna as well as on the 4th house. Argala on the Lagna is his state of self, and Argala on the 4th house, it controls the peace of the mind. So because the planet has Argala on both of them, he can give happiness. But being the 6th lord, can he actually rob of the happiness? He can do that also. So both are possible. You have to really look at the individual situation. But he is giving the positive result to show that that is also possible. Even though he is 6th lord, simply because he has Argala on Lagna as well as 4th house. If a planet has Argala on Lagna as well as 4th house, because 4th house is the house of Sukha, but Lagna is the key. Lagna is the seed. If Lagna is bad, you cannot be really happy. So if a planet has a good influence on Lagna as well as 4th house, he can make the person happy. So that is the message here. Swarthi. Swarthi means, there are two meanings. Swarthi is somebody who made his own wealth. Swarthi. It can also mean selfish. Swartha, he is selfish. He worries about his own thing. Let us interpret it as his own, somebody who is jealous. Does it make sense? Not jealous, selfish. Does it make, can he be a selfish person if the 6th lord is in the 5th house? Can he be a selfish person?
You see selfishness from?
Yeah, what do you see selfishness from?
From
Lagna is the root of self. Yeah.
That means
He works for himself, probably at the cost of others. Probably at the cost of others.
but we don't say that from Lagna, but provided Lagna has a heavy malefic influence.
Right, right.
So
So, if this planet is causing, he is having a good influence on Lagna, and if he is having a bad influence on 7th house, then you can say he works for his own betterment at the cost of somebody else, right? But here from the 7th house of relations, he is the 11th, he is in the 11th, he is the 12th lord in the 11th house. So what does it mean? The lord of the house of losses is in the house of gains. So that means there may be some losses, right? There may be some losses for the other people. And of course, he is having Argala on the Lagna, he is basically in the 5th house. In the 5th house of abilities of the person. So he is actually increasing his abilities, increasing his skills, etc. possibly at the loss of somebody else. So that can basically make him selfish. Any planet to make you give selfishness, it has to be detrimental to 7th house and has to be conducive to Lagna. That is the case here. Dayanvidaha. However, he is kind. Why is he kind? Why can this person be kind, compassionate and kind? How do you see kindness from? 4th house, okay, or 5th house? 5th house is the house of emotions. And what is kindness? What is kindness really? What is compassion? Feeling the pain of somebody else, worrying about somebody else. Unless you feel certain emotion for somebody else, you can't be kind and compassionate to others. For me? Well, 4th house is the house of, basically shows the state of mind. That is why 4th house is relevant. But strictly, the emotions of the person are from the 5th house. Right. 4th house is Cancer and you say 4. Right. 4th house is definitely important. But the thing is, 5th house, pardon me? This planet, yes, this planet is in the 5th house of emotional stability and he has Argala. From the 5th house as Lagna of emotional stability of the person, the judgment of the person, etc., the emotional state of the person, 5th house, he is the 2nd lord. You can interpret it as Marka, you can also interpret it as feeding. So he is the lord of the house of feeding of the 5th house and he is in 5th house. So it can mean lot of 5th house indications basically being plentiful. So he can have, and he, like you said, he has Argala on the Lagna. So it can show somebody who is very emotional. 5th house shows emotional nature. So it can show somebody who is very emotional and he has an argala on the 4th house of comfort, 4th house of compassion. So he is somebody who is emotional, who feels the emotions of other people and who is worried about the other people. So it can be somebody who is very kind. And you can also interpret Dayanvitaha as not just feeling the emotion of other people and feeling for them. Feeling for other people is one aspect of it. The other aspect is actually helping other people. Can he help other people? I mean, look at it from the point of view of dharma. What is my dharma? Should I help this person? From the 9th house, this is the 10th lord in the 9th house. Excellent. Karmadhipati in the dharma. So he can be very helpful to other people. He can basically be very dharmic. The next verse. Shashthe che ripubhavasthe vairam svagnati mandalat anjai saha bhaven maitri sukham madhyam dhanadijam. Shashthe che ripubhavasthe. If the 6th lord is in the 6th house itself. Vairam, enmity. Svagnati mandala. Svagnati means own gnatis. Gnati means close relatives. Very close relatives like cousins, etc. Mandala means big group. So with a big gang of kinsmen, he has enmity. So there is actually a group of people among his close relatives who are his enemies. Anyai saha bhaven maitri, and with others he is friendly. So with his own people he is inimical, but with other people he is inimical, he is friendly. Sukham madhyam dhanadijam. Sukham madhyam dhanadijam. Sukham madhyam means Sukham means happiness. Madhyam means medium. Medium. Not too little, not too great. Medium. Dhanadijam means wealth, etc. also. So in the matters of wealth, etc., Ja means born from, Dhanadi means Dhana, etc. So Sukham Dhanadijam means the comfort born from wealth, etc. Not general comfort. The comfort born from the wealth, from how wealthy he is medium. Let's pass each of them. If the 6th lord is in the 6th house, why does he have enmity to his own kinsmen? How do you see enmity with kinsmen? If you see his own family, which house shows them? Family and close people? Yeah, 2nd house. So from the 2nd house, this planet is 5th lord in the 5th house. But apart from it, he is basically having argala on the 2nd house. The 6th lord of enmity has an argala on the 2nd house. So there is a possibility of enmity with the family people. Right? And with other people, in general with other people he is, even though with his own people he is showing some enmity, with other people he is friendly. Why? Well, the 6th lord of enmity is in the 12th house from 7th house. Suppose he is in the 7th house, he will give enmity with everybody, but he is in the 12th of giving up. So he is not really, or look at it this way, from the 7th house as Lagna, he is the 12th lord in the 12th house. So he is not having argala on the 7th house or aspect on the 7th house or something. He is actually in the house of giving up from the 7th house. So he doesn't really have any, in general with relations, with all people that he deals with, he doesn't have a problem. But he may have problem with his family people. Anyai saha bhaven maitri sukham madhyam dhanadijam. The wealth, the happiness from wealth, etc. is medium. Why? How do you see happiness from wealth? Happiness from wealth. The wealth is from the 2nd house. The happiness from wealth, how comfortable you are with your financial position. How is it seen? Huh? Right, 12th house? 4th from 2nd. 4th house is the house of happiness. Right? How comfortable you are. So 4th from any house is how comfortable you are with that house. I am not talking about gaining wealth. I am talking about happiness, sense of contentment with your wealth. 4th from 2nd. Right? How contented you are with your wealth. So fourth from second being taken as Lagna, I don't think he has given this kind of thing before. So the lesson is, the fourth house from any house can be seen for contentment with respect to that matter. The 10th house, for example, is contentment with respect to relations. The 8th house is contentment with respect to children, and so on. So contentment with wealth is 5th house. So from the 5th house, this planet is second lord in the second house. Is he great? Not really. He is not associated with quadrants or trines or something.
But he is a Marka that way.
He is Marka as well as he is the house lord of sustaining. So he is mixed. He is not really super strong or super weak, and he is mixed. So that is what he is saying. There will be mixed results or medium results. There will be some good results, some bad results relating to contentment. He may or may not be very contented. What he is trying to say is, even though from the second house, he is a trine lord in a trine, 5th lord in the, he didn't mention the result, but you can give the result. He will be very wealthy. Because from the second house of wealth as Lagna, he is 5th lord in 5th. So he should be wealthy. But even though he is wealthy, taking the 4th house from second house as Lagna, he is not so great. So the contentment from the wealth is medium. The wealth itself will be good. The wealth itself will be high. It will be, may not be super, but it will be quite good.
Yeah, that's what he said.
No. I'm saying, even he didn't say anything about the wealth. I'm saying wealth will be good, but contentment from the wealth will be medium, average. Okay, that is because from the second house he is very strong, 5th lord in the 5th. But he may be struggling on account of his wealth. From Lagna as reference, he is after all the 6th lord in the 6th house. He is struggling. Planet in 6th house struggle. So physically, his physical state wise, he is struggling. He is putting himself in trouble for his wealth. Probably not necessarily for his wealth. It may be because of his family matters. Second is also family, speech, etc. But one possible result is, on account of his wealth, accumulated wealth, and maintaining the accumulated wealth, his bank balance, he is putting his own health maybe at stake. But wealth will be, accumulated wealth will be very good. But the happiness from the wealth, contentment with the wealth, which is basically from the 5th house, 4th from the 2nd, that is medium. Okay. So in general, if a planet is strong, earlier I said, if a planet is having a good influence on Lagna as well as 4th house, then he will make the person very happy, right? Not just the 4th house is average. It has to be both Lagna and 4th house. Similarly, if a planet is strong, has a positive influence both on 2nd house and 5th house, then the person will be happy, will be wealthy, and also contented with his wealth. But if the good influence is only on the 2nd house and on the 5th house, which is 4th from 2nd, if the influence is negative or average, the contentment from the wealth will be average or bad. It will not be good. Okay, that is the lesson. So from any house, if the 4th from the house is also strong, the contentment from the matter shown by that house will be high. Contentment is seen from the 4th house, from any house. Okay.
But he will also be very cheerful, right? Because he is a Harsha Yoga.
Yes, there is Harsha Yoga. He will be cheerful. Yes. 6th lord in the 6th house. He is very cheerful. Okay. So with that we will.
Another thing, really,
Yes.
6th lord in 5th house.
Yeah.
He will also give loss of 6th house abilities being equal from there.
Yeah.
That means he will also not be having the capacity to overcome obstacles. And,
That is definitely possible. Yes.
but they contradict with other things that we went through.
What contradict? 6th lord and 5th is different.
No, what
Yeah.
is this? But
We didn't mention that, but we never said he's a fighter, he fights, etc. We never said. Like he's a conqueror. That was said for like 6th lord in the 2nd, 6th lord in the 3rd, which are basically 9th and 10th from the 6th house. If you see you miss those, 6th lord in 2nd and 6th lord in 3rd were mentioned as people who are strong and who get what they want. But 6th lord in 5th, he didn't say he gets what he wants. He never said. He only said, what did he say? He said other things. 6th lord in 5th, he said his wealth is fluctuating. That may also be because he doesn't fight that well. and he's saying enmity with children, all those things, enmity with friends, he is comfortable, he is selfish, and he is kind. But he didn't say, again, that kindness maybe another reason for that kindness may be because he is not a fighter. He may be easygoing. Bottom line is, he didn't say he is a fighter. That was said for second house and third house, not for fifth house, which is absolutely true. With the sixth lord placed in the fifth house, you can't expect the person to be a fighter. He'll be even if he fights, he'll be a wavering fighter, right? Comfort and contentment. Yeah.
Can you say that the second from the second house has something to do with what that person physically eats?
What feeds that thing? Not physically eats. Second from any house is what feeds that house.
Second from the second house I'm talking.
Second from second is okay.
In the Rasi chart,
Yeah.
the physical manifestation.
Right.
Second house would also show food, right?
Second house is food. Yes.
The second from the second, does it show what kind of food we eat? I mean,
It can show. Okay. Second is the house of resources, and second house is the house of eating, the food that you eat. So second from second can show the resources that you have for eating. So what resources are being used for the food?
What kind of?
It can show what kind of food comes to you. It can show. It can have. Yeah.
that is the resource.
It is one of the resources for your meal. Second house is your meal, the lunch or dinner that you are eating. It is the resources that are available for that meal. And the meal itself that you are eating is a resource available for your body, so that it can nourish itself. Saturn is there in the third house, you may not get excellent food. So the planets in the third house are important for seeing the kind of food he gets. Saturn in the second house, see, let's say Jupiter is in the third house. He may have excellent food, but Saturn is in the second house. He is not eating that food. Third is availability of the food, availability of materials for consumption, and second house is consumption, so that it's available to give energy to your body. Second house can show what he is eating, yes. Saturn in second house is not good at all. Yes. They never actually talk about third house. Most of the places, combinations, they don't say third house planets for the food that the person eats. Because what kind of food, etc. is secondary. If the planet in the second house is bad, he won't even eat any food. Yeah. He may not have access to whatever he gets, whatever he has access to. He may be always on the move, and he may not get access to good food. He may be getting junk food. But he will basically feed himself quite well. He will keep himself well fed. The planet in the second house shows whether you are well fed or not, because that is the resource, that is the food of the body.
I was just trying to go a little bit
Right.
and saying that in third house, suppose it has Jupiter, then the person will have a lot of sweet food. I mean,
Possible, yeah.
so
Not necessarily, yeah, sweets is one possibility. Various Jupiterian foods or Jupiterian materials may be ready for consumption, may be available for consumption.
That is when Jupiter is in third.
Third, right. Excellent.
So with respect to every planet that has that is in that house, can we draw some kind of a conclusion as to what?
Yes, you can see from any house in general, you can actually see the second house from that house to see what is feeding that house. But then you have to understand what feeds dharma, what feeds karma, what feeds labha, what feeds vaya. What is the meaning of feeding various of these things? It's not just feeding. Second house is the house of resources. What you can use, put to use. So you have to understand what is the meaning of resource for karma, what is the meaning of resource for dharma, etc. So you can try to dig into that.
Why is the same house called as a resource as well as the maraka for that particular house? That has been.
Well, maraka, you die when you don't have food to eat. You die, or vice versa. When you die, you don't have anything to eat. Basically, your body is getting some food, not just food, water, anything basically. Anything you are taking in, you are taking that in. Your prana is being fed by it. Your prana is being sustained by it. It's basically sustaining. And then once you die, you are not sustaining that body anymore. So sustenance is cut off. So dying and sustenance being cut off are basically synonymous. Which causes which is actually debatable. Whether you die because your sustenance is cut off or whether your sustenance is cut off because you die, they just happen together. So second house is the house of sustenance as well as cutting off sustenance, which is death. So the same planet can show, depending on the strengths, depending on other combinations, the same planet can sustain you and the same planet can withdraw the sustenance.
But we always take the second lord as Maraka no matter what, whether it is.
No, not necessarily. Second lord is Maraka, but we also see strengths, etc. Second lord, let's say somebody has second lord in second, very strong. He may kill the person if he is malefic and if he is inimical to the Lagna lord, and depending on, see how the 8th lord is, because he is the key Maraka. How is the relationship between second lord and 8th lord, second lord and Lagna lord, and what is the relation with Saturn? Saturn is the Karaka for longevity. So based on all these things, you basically decide whether he is a Maraka. He can also show somebody who has a strong sustenance. Second lord can sustain also. See, forget Lagna, take Upada. If the second lord from Upada, we strengthen him, we basically pray to him to sustain the marriage, right? So second lord from Upada is very important. But if he is weak and afflicted and he is an enemy of Upada lord, he can even break the marriage. Second lord from Upada is for breaking the marriage. So what actually sustains you, what gets you going is what breaks you. This is the fact of life. People who want a classification of this is good, this is bad, are actually, they are deluding themselves. What is good when not strong can also be bad. What you need, when you don't have it, you are in trouble. When you get it, you are in business. When you don't have it, you are in trouble. So the thing is, everything has both the sides of the coin to it. When it is in excess, when it is not in excess. When you have food, you are fat. When you don't have food, you are weak and you may even die. And whether you have food or not, the planet in the second house or second lord only shows food. It doesn't show whether you have food or you don't have food. The planet in the third lord shows Vikrama. It doesn't show having Vikrama. It may show not having Vikrama also. His job is to give you Vikrama. Whether he gives Vikrama or gives lack of it depends on other factors. So every house, when you say glass, are you talking about glass being full or glass being empty? If glass being empty is a different thing. If the glass is full, it's a different thing. So just because I say this is a glass, it doesn't mean it is full or empty. You have to see whether it is full or empty. So you see what I am saying? So like this, astrology is not just saying 6th lord, okay, problems. Second lord, money, lot of money. It's not, that is all very elementary kind of astrology. Okay. So with that what I will do is, I was actually in two minds. The priest that I know, Anna, he came. He was supposed to come today, but I didn't know which flight he was coming by, which airlines, what time, and I didn't know if he will come to my house today. He may go somewhere else because he's here just for 3 days and he has a lot of people to meet. So I wasn't sure. So if I knew that he was going to come, I would have cancelled the class. The call that when we were meditating at the beginning of the class, the call that came, for which I took the call, it was actually from him. So he's at my house with a friend, with one of his friends who I never met. He wants me to meet. So I'll stop here. I'll go home early, and we'll meet next class. Okay? And you guys can go home, or if you want, you can go downstairs at the puja going on. So with that, I will end for today. We'll meet next class. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, please. You can ask. Hopes. You have? No, I'm not recording actually. I'm trying to turn it off. Go ahead.